Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video is pretty exciting because rather than take you down to my mat on the floor, I'm actually going to take you with me to the gym. This video has been requested quite a few times now, so I thought I'd share with you some of my favorite upper body exercises that you can do to help you get strong for pole. So whilst my training routine doesn't actually currently involve gym or heavy weight training at the moment, weights definitely did help me build up a lot of my initial strength for pole dancing, and if done right can be super beneficial for us pole dancers. As a general rule, I'd recommend starting with about 2 to 3 days a week at the gym. And when it comes to upper body specifically, I usually recommend doubling the amount of back exercises you're doing to chest. By focusing on strengthening up your back muscles more specifically, you're actually going to be focusing on strengthening a lot of postural muscles that are going to help you alleviate a lot of niggly pains that come from postural issues. And it's also going to help you find a lot more of that effortless strength on the pole as well. And to be honest, I just quite enjoy training back muscles. Who doesn't enjoy back muscles? But in saying that, I'm not recommending to neglect any of your pushing exercises. So things like chest press, or just any exercises that kind of strengthen the muscles on the front of your body, because they're also important as well. I generally, as a rule of thumb, just like to double the amount of back training that I'm doing to the chest training, so all my pushing muscles on the front. So with all that being said, let's go ahead to the gym. I'll take you through a few of my favorite exercises, some tips on how to improve your technique in those exercises, because if your technique's not correct, then there's really no point performing the exercises, and just a short workout that you can follow at the gym to help you get stronger for pole. It's always important to begin with a short warm-up first. I recommend choosing your favorite cardio machine and spending about 5 to 10 minutes building up a small sweat. We're going to begin with one of my favorite back exercises, a lat pull down, and we're going to superset it with some incline push-ups. And if you're unsure what a superset is, basically you're going to perform reps of one exercise followed by reps of a second exercise with no rest in between. So for this one, just make sure you're set up correctly first. So you want this leg cushioning here to be directly on top of your knees and your feet directly under your knees. So don't have them back here, try and have them directly under your knees. From here, you'll have to stand up to reach for the bar, and you're gonna place your hands about shoulder width apart, gently lowering down. We're gonna break this movement up. So I want you to try and pull those shoulders down away from your ears. Then we're gonna pull the bar in front of your face as we pull to just above your chest, and then release back up from there. So again, I think about pulling my shoulders down away from my ears, then pulling those elbows into the side of my body, and then release from there. So you want to think exhale as we pull down, and then we're going to inhale as we return back up to the top. Now with this one, again, I'm making sure I'm pulling it in front of my face. So to avoid knocking your nose, think sexy triple chin position with that neck, and then also just keep an eye that those elbows aren't winging behind your body. This is not a very safe position for your shoulders. We want to think elbows pulling forward under those wrists, and then releasing all the way back up to the top. Also just keep an eye that you're not overarching through your lower back, and you're also not rounded either. You want to sit up nice and tall. And then finally, just making sure that we don't swing with momentum. We want this movement to be as controlled as we can. Now I'm aiming to feel this one through my lats and also a bit of my lower traps as I pull the shoulders down first and then elbows in. For this one, the lower you place the bar, the harder it's going to be. So I suggest starting up a little bit higher, and then we can work ourselves down as we start to get a little bit stronger. I'm going to place my hands on the bar so they're about shoulder width apart, step my feet out behind into my push-up position, then just making sure my shoulders are not up towards my ears. I'm going to pull them down and keep them there through the entire exercise. From there, I'm going to lower down, big exhale, push back up. So inhale as I lower down, exhale as I push back up. Now you'll notice my shoulders stay down the entire time. They don't raise up towards my ears. This is very bad for your shoulders. Try keep them down. I'm also keeping my elbows at a 45-degree angle, not at 90 degrees, because this is also not a very healthy position for our shoulders. Shoulders down, elbows pointing. So the real pointy parts of your elbows pointing backwards as I keep them at that 45-degree angle. Now also just keep an eye that on your neck. Try not to bop your head down. Call it the head bop. We want to try and think triple chin, head back in line with the spine. Exhale as we push all the way back up to the top. Now just also make sure that your butt isn't arched. You don't want an arch with lower back, and you also don't want to be rounded. We want a nice neutral spine, so really focusing on just tucking that tummy in. And I inhale as I lower down, making sure my shoulders are staying down. Exhale as I push all the way back up to the top. The last little tip for this one is on your way back up, we don't want to stop here. You want to punch away a little bit further, like you're really trying to punch that bar away or trying to spread those shoulder blades apart. So I lower down, come all the way up, try and punch, spread those shoulder blades as far apart as you can before returning to repeat the movement. So again, don't stop here, punch away. Our second superset for today is going to be a seated row into a single arm chest press. Guys, I love single-sided exercises for us pole dancers. For this one, we're gonna make sure that we set ourselves up correctly first. So to get into this one safely, you're gonna grab a hold of your handles. You're gonna start with one foot on the foot platform and slowly lower yourself down from there. Then placing the other foot on the platform, I want you to check that your shoulders are not up towards your ears. Try keep those shoulders down away from your ears the entire time. From there, we're gonna think about squeezing the shoulder blades backwards together, pulling our wrist towards our belly button, and then release back to the start position. So again, keeping my shoulders down, I squeeze my shoulder blades backwards, pull the weight towards my belly button, try not to land higher than your belly button height, and then release back out from there. Now again, our shoulders should never look like this. Not very healthy for our shoulders. We're gonna think shoulders down, ribs up tall, so I'm also making sure I'm not rounded forward for this one. Shoulders back, elbows in, and then slowly returning back to the start position. Now, also just keep an eye that your elbows don't wing out to the side. We want to try and keep them into the side of your body, almost like they're trying to cuddle your torso, and then release back out. I also don't want you pulling backwards, so no rocking in this one allowed. This one, you got to keep that head up on top of those hips the entire time. When we start rocking, we end up overusing that lower back. So if you just have a look at a back view of my shoulders, you'll see that they're staying down as I squeeze backwards. I'm maintaining that sexy triple chin position with my head, then following with my elbows, and just making sure they don't look rolled forward like this either. Again, this is not a very healthy position for our shoulders. They need to be rolled down and back, and then releasing back to the start position. And then last little tip for this one, just your breathing. We're gonna exhale as we pull back, keeping my core switched on, so I'm tucking my tummy in to prevent me from rocking around, and then big inhale as I release. Your single-sided chest press is not only good for strengthening those chest and shoulder muscles, but it's also a really great core exercise. So to start getting into this position, I'm gonna have the weight just on the edge of my knee and my other hand there for support as I use a little bit of momentum to come backwards and bring that weight on top of my chest. From here, I'm gonna place my heels down on the floor. I'm gonna make sure that I rotate my hand so that my wrist is facing away from me, and then just making sure that my shoulder stays rolled down the entire time. Making sure that the dumbbell is in line with the center of my chest. I'm gonna lower down to the side. Make sure you don't fall with the weight. Big exhale, push through the heels to get the weight back up. Now this one again, really pay attention to all the movements in your torso. Try not to fall to the side. We're gonna be really strong through the core by tucking the tummy in and stay as square to the roof as we can. So I come down at that 45-degree angle to my torso, not at 90 degrees, 45-degree angle. Big exhale, push, bring the weight to the center, and then bring it out to the side. Now, as I come out to the side, I wanna make sure that my wrist and my elbow are directly aligned on top of each other. I wanna try not to have it all the way in here. So wrist out on top of the elbow as I take a big exhale, punch upwards, inhale, lower back down. Now also just notice that my shoulder is down the entire time. It doesn't raise up towards my ears. As I come down, I'm trying to get a little bit of movement backwards through my shoulder blade, and then punch, spread them apart as I come all the way up to the top. For our third superset today, we're going to perform a single arm lat pull down followed by skull crushes. For this exercise, I actually like to take the attachments off and just grab a hold just before that little ball joint there. From here, we're going to sit down and we're going to stay in this kneeling position. Now, try not to have your butt stuck backwards here. We're going to tuck the tailbone under and thrust those hips forward, and you're going to hold it there the entire time. From here, I'm going to think about pulling my shoulder down away from my ears, squeeze my elbow into the side of my body, and then release all the way back up above head. Now I am keeping my glutes engaged and my core tucked in so I can maintain that thrust position forward. I'm not going to sit back as I pull the weight down. Maintain that position as we pull that shoulder blade down away from your ear, squeeze the elbow in, and then release back up above head. Now with my elbow position here, I'm trying not to pull back like so because it's putting my shoulder in this funky rolled forward position. Instead, I want to try and get my elbow underneath my wrist and wrist back in line with that shoulder so that my shoulder is down and rolled back away from my ears. So again, I'm going to exhale, pull the shoulder blade down away from my ear, squeeze the elbow into the side of my torso and release all the way back up above head. This is a great exercise for your triceps. For this one, we're going to lower down onto the bench, placing your feet down onto the floor. From here, I'm going to bring the dumbbell up so that my arm is aligned directly on top of my shoulder. And then just make sure that your elbow, the pointy part, isn't open to the side. Throughout this whole exercise, we want to keep the pointy part of the elbow facing that way. So you're almost really trying to squeeze your elbows in. From here, keeping my elbow positioned on top of my shoulder, I'm going to lower the dumbbell down, crush the head, and then I'm going to try and straighten back up. Now as I'm lowering down, I'm just keeping an eye that this elbow doesn't move. So I don't want to see any of this. You're just going to be overcompensating with other muscles. Your tricep is a little muscle and all it's responsible for is straightening your arm. So that's the only movement that we want to happen. So keeping elbow turned in, keeping it directly on top of your shoulder. You can keep your hand here for some feedback, just to make sure the elbow doesn't move as I bend down and then straighten back up, minimizing all the other movements through the shoulder and just focusing on the bend and the straighten at the elbow. Also just keep an eye that your shoulder doesn't raise up towards your ears and that your elbow doesn't fall out to the side. You're gonna want nice narrow elbows, so squeeze it in, keep that shoulder down and just focusing on feeling it through the back of the arm. And big exhale as we straighten. Try and straighten all the way so you get that nice little squeeze through the tricep, and then inhale as we lower back down, and then just making sure that core is switched on so we're really tucking in through the tummy. Let me know in the comments if you gave today's exercises a go, and if you do have any future requests for videos, please leave them in the comments below. One that I've had a big request for is middle splits, so I'm going to share a few exercises with you for those next week, and also had a request for some beginner on the pole conditioning. So I'll probably put that up the following week, so stay tuned. So if you would like to see those videos, please subscribe to my channel and give this video the thumbs up so I can keep bringing you more valuable content just like this video. See you next time, friends.